voice of the voiceless.
What's going on, people? Happy Tuesday night. It is a 11:06 p.m. Eastern Time, just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Things are normal again. The Leafs are losing. Everybody's back to being, miserable. It is what. Joining me on this episode of Chair Shot Chatter, it's going to be a shortened episode. It's been a crazy week, but it will be a normal episode next Tuesday. It's Jer from the Dark Match Drive. What's going on, man?
Just working away at the drive, making posts on the Facebook and updating the Discord and, plenty of wrestling. I might get ready. If I'm awake enough, I might stay up for New Japan's pay-per-view in 5 hours. So,
where's that taking place?
It is taking place somewhere in Fukuoka, I believe. So...
Oh,
yeah.
I just thought you were going to drop an American location on me when 5 hours from now would be 4 o'clock in the morning.
No, I believe
one
it's
in the
like
West Coast?
5 p.m. Japan time or something. I think we're like 13 hours behind, technically. So
All In, aka AEW, and their All In event at Wembley, which... people might notice they're still not advertising as a pay-per-view event, and I think that's because it's, and my guess is it's going to be on Max, Warner Brothers Discovery. But they had their pre-sale today, man. Day one. Apparently they sold 35,000 tickets. What were your thoughts on that? Because I see all different types of takes on it, and I guess some people are bashing it because they didn't sell 60,000 because there were 60,000 signups, but there's a big difference between signing up for something and putting your actual money on something.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we knew the people signing up for pre-sale was a large number, over 60,000. And I mean, people try to compare numbers to WWE numbers all the time. And sure, All In London is not WrestleMania. It's not, SummerSlam. It doesn't have that tagline of, hey, I'm going to one of the 2 most important pay-per-views of the year. And so AEW being new on the market, for them to sell 35,000 tickets in one day is damn impressive, because remember, it's pre-sale. They're not even fully on sale yet. And us being in the Toronto area, we know that if pre-sales go really well, then when tickets go on sale, it's probably going to, I wouldn't say sell out. In Toronto's case, absolutely. But that's only, 15,000 maybe. So, I think it's impressive, and it should be commended as such, because AEW is going to do their first stadium show. They're going to sell a lot of tickets. I don't know if they'll sell out. I don't think they even care if they sell out. They're going to sell enough tickets to make money. It's going to look great on whatever platform it's on, whether it's pay-per-view or a streaming service. And I think it's a huge win for the company. And people who want to try to knock that don't understand that. 20 years ago, WCW could put 40,000 people in the Georgia Dome. And, wrestling was so popular back then, we just kind of didn't blink an eye at it. That was a Monday Nitro. That was expected. But in the past 20 years, the wrestling business has taken significant dips. Ratings are down. Attendance is down. It's healthy and functioning, but it's not what it was 20 years ago. So for AEW in its 5th year of existence to be able to sell this many tickets in one day with no matches announced. I mean, obviously you have an idea of who's going to be there, sure, but I think that's really impressive and indicative that AEW is here for the long term, and I think that's a positive for the wrestling business, and people should be happy for that. I don't understand why people are like, oh, well, WWE sold 80 million tickets for SummerSlam, and okay, cool, that's great.
Also, much bigger and far better known worldwide.
Exactly, right? I mean, AEW did not exist 6 years ago. Didn't at all. WWE's been around since 1962 or something. So, this is a win for AEW. It's a win for wrestling fans. It's a win for the wrestling industry. Take it as such.
They sold, I believe, the numbers north of 36,000 tickets on day one, and I find it funny that they put the money out there. That felt a little bit on the gloaty side. That normally doesn't happen, to my knowledge. But anyways, apparently it's 4.7 million already. So let's say they did get to 80 or 85,000. Probably a lot of the expensive tickets were just bought. I think you're looking at like a $10 million house, man. If they get that high, and that's not including whatever the deal is to put this thing either on pay-per-view or on Max.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, that's just ticket sale money. They haven't even, we don't know what we're paying to view the show. And that's mostly going to be profit for them. I think they might do like a 50-50 deal on, whatever streaming service they do. But still, like, this show is going to do amazing numbers. And I think Tony Khan was right to, get up on his high horse today. That today was a success. And, he takes a lot of shit for being, okay, he's not the greatest booker. Nobody is the greatest booker. Everyone has an ebb and flow, and that's how it goes. Everyone has down spots. Everyone has great ideas, and it's the life of booking pro wrestling. But he takes a lot of shit for just AEW's existence almost, and I think he should be proud, very proud publicly of this achievement. And, I was sharing stuff with you earlier of him telling off, reporters who were trying to downplay the amount of success that this is. So, fuck yeah, go Tony Khan.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my only concern about the way he handled that today is some of the other stuff that's going on in the company and people taking to social media and using it in that way. And I, to me, it just, you're encouraging more roster, people on the roster to speak out about things that they're not thrilled about on social media. And I'm not saying he wasn't in the right, because he made the guy look pretty stupid, if you ask me. But he does have a tendency maybe to jump the gun a little bit. That being said, no matches announced. The thing is still quite far away. If I'm Warner Brothers Discovery, I'm absolutely putting this thing on Max, because those that do want to get this thing legally, guess what? Your only way to do it will be to sign up for Max. And like, it makes a lot of sense. Here's something that doesn't make sense that I want to run by you. So Brian Alvarez, everybody's favorite, I guess, wrestling radio host, reporter dude, throws out the idea, what if All In and All Out are treated like WrestleMania, and All Out is a show of one guys and All In's a show of other guys? And all I could sit here and think to myself, maybe it happens, but like, you're about to do a show in front of maybe 80,000 people plus, and you're going to bench half your roster? I think fucking not. But that's just me. What are your thoughts on that?
I get the idea behind it. Because it's you do want to treat each show separately and equally as important, right? But you can't do your first I mean, because All Out is going to be what? Let's say Chicago in front of maybe 20,000 people, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think AEW All In is too big of a marquee to not send your top guys, all of them. You can still do like, oh hey, let's say Omega's booked in a match at All In and booked in a match at All Out. You can still build to those matches separately. The viewing audience is not stupid enough to not understand what's going on. The AEW fans, you don't need to beat them over the head with things. I mean, sometimes you do, but I think you can get away with doing two entirely different cards with the same roster. Mostly, I mean, okay, let's say you don't bring over Powerhouse Hobbs, let's say. I think they'll be okay. But, you need, like, those guys that are on the poster, they're all on the poster for a reason. Like, people are buying tickets in the hopes of seeing Chris Jericho or, MJF or Punk or Omega, or so you have to send your heavy hitters for this show. Or, no offense to Sammy Guevara, but Sammy Guevara is not going to main event AEW All In because people would shit all over it. And that's just the way the roster is right now, and that's fine. But you can't hold back on All In just for the idea of, hey, we're doing two separate shows and that's a novelty and that'll be cool. And I don't think that'll work. It'll water down All In, and if you get 70,000 people in there, you do not want to give them a watered down AEW product. You want to give them the biggest matches ideally possible at that time, 3 months from now or whatever. So I get the idea, but I don't think it would work.
So you brought up main event, and this is a shorter episode. We only got like 10 or 15 minutes left. So I'm going to give you an option here. Won't be too hardball on this. Give me your double main eventers. Let's say it's a double main event. Realistically, it probably needs to be like a triple main event sort of situation, in my opinion, with how big the show is. Plus, like, you want people. You don't want to be like, okay, I sold all these tickets and then put on a mediocre card, because you want to be able to do this again and get people excited for it. You don't want to just be one and done.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about possibly $10 million just in tickets. So,
yep.
You want to make a stellar first impression, not just to your diehards, but to like just general wrestling fans too. So what is your double main event with Punk and the Elite agreeing to work together? Maybe they're not involved at all, but you have the option of them, burying the hatchet and working together, or them not burying the hatchet and not working together and having to use them in another way.
I would not even need to bury the hatchet, because what I would do is I would hold off on Omega and Ospreay if they're planning that for Forbidden Door. I would hold that off until All In, do that for the United States title, and then do Punk and Jericho, which will have had, 6 weeks worth of, probably 8 weeks worth of build by that point, and do it there because it's an AEW branded show. And the thing with Forbidden Door is that's more of a cross-branded promotion thing, as to where with All In, you could do CM Punk versus Chris Jericho in front of 70,000 people, and that feels like a marquee top match. I mean, you can keep them apart on TV easily. So, and I think Omega and Ospreay being one of the best matches of the year, them getting the rematch in front of even more people than were at the Tokyo Dome for the first one is a huge ticket seller. And I think that would be a perfectly fine double main event. And you don't have to worry about any bullshit.
So my main event, if they can bury the hatchet, is CMFTR versus the Elite. If they cannot, then I would hope that there's a way to have Punk and Omega still work at All In. But if you can't do either of those, I know I'm kind of adding a third option here, but you know, the AEW title should be highlighted on this show.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily have to be the last match. I hope they, frankly, if there's a bigger match than that on that card, then I think that bigger match should go on last. And I don't think typically Tony does. I don't know if Tony has ever done that.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's almost always been the world
title's always been the main event. Even like Revolution last year. I mean, Punk and MJF was the draw, and Hangman and Adam Cole went on last because it was the world title match. And I get the thought behind that, and it's fine. But yeah,
for me, I think if it's nobody's willing to work together, I think I'm going Punk versus MJF for the title, and Jericho costs him, and it's Punk versus Jericho at All Out. Is probably the way I would go with it.
Yeah, because that was technically the last thing Punk did on TV.
Yeah, so like
was
in a way,
returning.
It would be a natural progression to things, and Punk could have MJF beat, and Jericho pokes his head where it doesn't belong. You'll have already had 2 months of buildup on Collision. I think that works. And then like Ospreay Omega is definitely the other one. You know, I don't know much about Ospreay, but I've seen
Did you watch the match?
I've seen one of the two matches, the most recent one, and it was quite fucking remarkable.
Oh yeah, blew my mind.
So, I think some just blend of those guys being involved. That being said, I know some people will scoff at your idea of Punk versus Jericho at All In, but let's be real here. And I'm just being honest. I know that's over in Ospreay country, you know, England, whatever. I think, where's Ospreay from? He's Australian, is he not?
Yeah, he's from England.
Oh, he's from England. Okay. So yeah, like big hometown favorite over there.
Yep.
But in terms of worldwide popularity, I don't know if there's a bigger match you can do in terms of name recognition than CM Punk versus Chris Jericho.
Exactly.
It's not the best match on the card, but like in terms of what's going to attract the general audience.
Well, it's literally a WrestleMania main event. They went at it at WrestleMania 28. So for the WWE Championship. So
Brett and Vince should have went on last.
Yeah, like it. So that just feels like the natural spot for, and yeah, it's probably, I mean, they're both, 15 years older or whatever, but, and that's the thing, it doesn't need to be a great match. It just needs to be the headline people see when they see AEW All In, Chris Jericho versus CM Punk. Put the bright lights on it. As long as you get people in the door, that's the goal. The match could be the shits, which it wouldn't be, but
let me throw this one out there to you. Like, you really want to build up MJF's reign. You have him beat the four pillars at Double or Nothing, and then have him win a triple threat match against Punk and Jericho at All In. Not saying they go that route, but like, to me, the AEW championship should be in a significant match where there's a threat of MJF losing, even if he does not.
Well, that could even be the catalyst for Punk and Jericho. Punk could come back and be pissed off at MJF cutting off his, title celebration. and Jericho comes in and there you go. They're off to the races. But the belt being kind of the focal point of that feud, and MJF is kind of off on the side.
The promos between the three too, like if
oh yeah, absolutely,
for 2 months would be gold
for sure. Yeah, they can like I just watched it recently.
Tune in on Saturday night, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I just watched that Jericho Punk promo going into WrestleMania a couple weeks ago, and they're so good at. A lot of guys feel maybe not in AEW because they're not as heavily scripted, but Jericho and Punk are two guys who, even when they're in WWE, they come across very natural, and they're probably lightly scripted, not as heavy as other guys, but they're very good at conveying their emotions in the promos. And MJF would be able to just come in there and hypothetically shit all over them, and there you go, right? And I think, see, I really like the idea of MJF in there, but I just
don't know who else you give him.
Yeah, right? Because
you could go MJF Hangman.
Because he's got an open door pretty much after Double or Nothing, right?
Like he's not losing at Double or Nothing. And
no. So he's going to have to do something else. They're not, I mean, what, are they going to splinter off Darby Allin and MJF for something longer term? It feels like...
God, I hope not.
MJF is going to need something different after this upcoming pay-per-view, and I don't know what the plan would be.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, do you put him in a holding pattern until Punk comes back? I mean, Punk would be back, 3 weeks later? But yeah, I don't know.
Does the Elite Blackpool Combat Club stuff end at Double or Nothing, or does it go past that? And I kind of think it might go past that with those two.
Yeah, we're just getting our feet wet because they haven't even, like, their first match is next week in the cage. So I mean, they've got a lot of leg room left on that, and I think that'll be really fun.
They're also your top guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Wednesday come roster split. So
yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's so many different ways they can go. I mean, I want the card. Like, I get it. Not every match on All In can be the main event. Like, it can't be. But boy, would be so nice to have, 4 or 5 matches on that card that they don't need to be, 5-star, spectacular matches, but that are well known, get attention, and when they're performed well. Like, I would really love for this to be a launching pad for AEW for eyeballs that don't see them as much. So I do think, like, with something like this, they really do need to bring their best, the best that they got, even with the pay-per-view the following week.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, like, you put Jericho and Punk on the marquee, and then people are obviously going to watch the card, and then they'll be opened up to this entirely new wrestling promotion and all their homegrown talent and all this, all the guys who aren't, name brand ex-WWE guys. And it's a win-win because you may get thousands of new AEW fans who follow the product after wanting to come see a CM Punk Chris Jericho match.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they put their best foot forward. I imagine they're gonna be leaning on talent. I would not be stunned at this point if Goldberg ends up on that card.
Man, I've put that so far in the back of my mind.
I don't want it to happen.
No, me neither.
Like,
it feels like one step forward, 2 steps back.
I'm just thinking of the next thing that could set Punk off, and like I do think that could be.
Are they gonna fucking send Kevin Nash out there too? Like, come
on. Speaking of which, though, according to Dave Meltzer and company at the Wrestling Observer, there's going to be another big name making a return or a debut. Seems like they're leaning more the debut route for the opening episode of AEW Collision, which is going to be Punk's return. Who do you think it might be? Who are some realistic possibilities?
Man,
Thoughts on Cena?
honestly, I have no idea who this could be, because it's not the only name I probably would have come up with a week ago would have been Roderick Strong, and that's only because nobody knew his contract situation. And I cannot think of a single free agent right now that is like that could draw, that is going to be an asset to the company. I mean, you could dust off some legend or whatever. I mean, but it's not going to add to AEW. You know,
So I'm thinking it's either some Japanese talent that I'm just not familiar with.
Well, that's what I was trying to think of. Like, I can't think of any. Nobody in New Japan like has like they've all signed their contracts. The thing with Jay White was like he lost a loser leaves New Japan match, so you could kind of do the math there. But yeah,
my first bet is just someone from over there that I just don't know too well. My second guess would be Mercedes.
Okay, yeah.
In terms of boosting your women's division, that would be
because Trinity just went to Impact at the tapings last week, so she's kind of off the radar now.
Yeah. Does Impact participate at Forbidden Door? Didn't they participate last year?
They kind of did the AEW thing 2 years ago with Christian and the Good Brothers and Kenny winning the belt and all that. But then they kind of Christian won the belt and then lost the belt to Josh Alexander, and then that kind of ended the relationship there. So I mean, I guess Mercedes feels like the right answer because she's still doing New Japan dates. She just dropped the IWGP Women's title last week to Mayu Iwatani, but she's still like doing dates, but like maybe her schedule is more open now with her not having the belt. She's doing the New Japan Strong Women's Tournament. I think it's this month, actually. Yeah. So she's got the tie-in with New Japan still, but obviously she is going to live stateside. She's not going to move to Osaka or anything. So an AEW only runs twice a week now, I guess, or next month. But yeah, like that's the only other name. Yeah, I can't think of anyone else.
Yeah, that's the one that I sit there and go, okay, well, Sunday morning and Monday morning when everybody's talking about the wrestling news.
Yeah.
Punk and Mercedes, it's a pretty big get for AEW. And then my third one would be Goldberg. I really hope it doesn't happen, but I could totally see Tony Khan giving him some ridiculous 3-match deal or something.
Yeah.
I hope not. Like, ugh.
I mean, I guess there's value in doing a Goldberg retirement match. I mean,
have Wardlow beat him there.
Yeah, like fucking do something like that. Don't bring him in and put him over your top talent. Have Wardlow beat him in 5 minutes and send him off to the pasture.
For sure. Absolutely. Anyways, that's going to do it for this week's episode. We'll keep in touch and see what happens over the course of the next week. I know there's weird WWE draft stuff that's happening, and Vince is involved and is not involved, and people are laughing at it.
And people just get drafted into being free agents? What the fuck is that?
It sounds like things are a fucking mess over there again.
Did nobody want to work with Omos, and now he's just a free agent?
Which is unfortunate. Anyways, Jer, what do you got going on? Where can people find you at?
You can find me on Facebook, the Dark Match Drive Facebook page. We post plenty of wrestling content. I just posted a Alex Shelley versus someone in Prestige Wrestling from last year. I'd have to find it. But, yeah, all sorts of wrestling content, all the news, all the memes, all the discussion, everything wrestling. You can find me on Twitter at Jamie Virtue. I post also for wrestling gifts, all that stuff. We have Discord, streaming on there for wrestling. There's Google Drive, $10 a month for all the wrestling you could ever want in your world, and I do requests. So, yeah, come check out Dark Match Drive.
Fantastic, man. Yeah, check us out. Number one way to support the channel, patreon.com/Fandom Empire. Just debuted our new show over there, Fandom Unplugged. Go check it out. Matt and I do, I guess, part 0 to this Halloween Retribution script dive. We just did the first official part on the YouTube channel right before doing this. So that's up there now. You can check out our other channel if you're a Game of Thrones and or House of the Dragon and or Song of Ice and Fire fan. The Legacy of Westeros. Check it out. That channel's actually booming right now. So big thank you to everybody who has gone over there and really helped launch that on the right foot. Our most recent video is season 3 to film early. Check that out. And then on Thursday morning, we have the relaunch of House of the Empire over on that channel. We'll be doing bi-weekly podcasts over there. Is the Jon Snow show a soft Game of Thrones sequel? Zach and I discussed that. That'll be out Thursday. As Jared mentioned earlier, check out the Dark Match Drive for all your wrestling needs. Great Facebook group, great wrestling content. And we'll see you next week on the show. Take it easy, everybody.
There was, and the best ever will be. I am the game.
I'm better than you.
And you know it.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.